Hello, and you're very welcome to the Pearl Mussel Project update. It's quite peculiar to be here, to be in this little box here at the side of your screen, rather than meeting in person in town hall or in one of the or pubs or whatever else as well. But so be it, and let's make the most of that. Really, this evening, what I want to do is to go through the update of what we've been doing for the last year, where we're at now, and how we see things panning out for 2020 as well. A very important aspect of this is to get your comments, get your feedback on how the project is going, how you feel, the good, the bad, and the ugly as such. So we've got our contact details here on the screen. Our two catchment officers, you know, Mary McAndrew in the northwest, in Donegal, Mayo, and Galway, and Mary at pmproject.ie, her email is there. Stephen O'Shea is in the southwest, and there's Stephen's email, stephen@pmproject.ie. And of course, we've got lots of information on our website as well. So be sure to look out for that. We'll have this video on links on our website, and we'll have lots of other very valuable information there as well. So just to give you a quick overview of the 2019 season, we've had a high level of interest. We've had almost 500 expressions of interest that ended up being about, well, exactly 343 participants in 2019, over 16,000 hectares of private land and over 5,000 hectares of college land, which we're very, very pleased of. That's up to 21,000 hectares. It's over half of all of the Pearl Mussel catchment area in total. That coverage was shown in these maps. These are 4 southwest catchments. We've got green here, participants, red being non-participants, and we have these purpley lilac colours, which are commonage lands that we hope to take in this year. Again, in the northwest catchments, we've got the same colour arrangements there. There's also a grey there as well, that's generally state lands or non-farmed lands. A lot of this is national park actually as well, and in both instances, I'm hoping that in both in the case of Donegal and in Davrat's catchment as well, that the national park areas can come into the programme as well. Of course, they don't draw down payments, such being state lands and so on, but yes, I think it'd be very good to have those part of the programme as well. Over 650,000 euros paid to farmers over the first year of the project to our participant farmers, and our annual works are currently being processed. I'll go through exactly what they are in a short while as well. And then I suppose our recruitment for the 2020 is coming to an end. It's at the end of March, 31st of March is the deadline for that. So if you know of any neighbours and so on that may have an interest, please be sure to let them know. Our feeling is that most people know of the project, and those that, you know, some people may not want to join and so on, and that's all fine. So in terms of participation for 2020, we've got over 120 expressions of interest. We expect that we'll have a minimum of 150 participants from 2020 onwards, probably closer to about 500 farmers involved. We're very pleased with that. I think it's very good to have good coverage. In terms of commonages, we'll be taking in up to 90% of all of the commonages throughout the catchments as well. So that'll leave us with probably between 80 and 90% of all farmed areas within these commonages. So I think that's very good, very positive from the Pearl Mussel perspective, and I think positive for all of our catchments as well. Just to give you a quick overview of what happens through the Pearl Mussel season as such, we know that the lands are scored by advisors during the summer season, and following scoring, the advisors will discuss the scores, where they worked well, where they didn't work well, high, low scores and so on, and the reasons for those, and recommended supporting actions. And this will be all done following scoring at the end of the summer. Now, I know this is new. I know that it wasn't necessarily done in all cases. As farmers learn the ropes, as the approach that we take here, as advisors learn the approach, and as of course ourselves as well, as we all get up to speed. But certainly in the coming year and so on, and the rest of the project, that we expect that there would be very good communication between advisors and farmers particularly, and ourselves of course as well. So farmers got paid before Christmas, December 2019, and at that point advisors that supported action for anyone that was taking those out, or that plans to take those out. So again, or these what we call annual works plans will be sent to farmers, and are being sent at the moment to farmers. Will be should be with you in the next coming weeks. So again, the cycle continues, and farms will be scored again in this coming summer. So just to recap, we've got a large purple ball here. That's our results payment. That's what farmers payment relates to, the result payment. The quality of habitat that's on the ground. Quality of the habitat that's on the ground reflects the quality of the water that comes off those habitats, and reflects the importance for freshwater pearl mussel, which obviously depends on pristine water. So habitat quality is related, and your payment is related to your habitat quality. And then we've got this small green ball to the right hand side here as well, and there's the supporting action budget. That's a separate payment stream. That's for supporting actions that are designed to facilitate an increase in score. To facilitate an increase in score reflects higher quality habitat, higher environmental score, and higher quality for the freshwater pearl mussel, and ultimately higher payment as well. So the process of applying for our supporting actions, the advisor and the farmer, as I said earlier, ought to have good communication in terms of where scores are low, what proposed supporting actions can be done. That's the first phase of a decision between the farmer and the advisor as to what can be done. We review, the Pearl Mussel Project team reviews and approves these supporting actions. Supporting actions are then compiled into what we call annual works plans, and these are issued to the farmer. Farmer completes these and submits a payment claim, and of course we verify that. Typically it will be through a photograph or so on that the farmer will submit, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we have just something that's extremely important as well is our supporting actions document, and again that's available on our website, pmproject.ie. This has all of the aspects of all of the various different range of supporting actions that we fund in the project itself, from fencing through drain blocking through cattle troughs and so on. It's all in there, along with the payment rates associated with those. So we have 121 farmers have submitted supporting actions for 2020, and our priority really for this year was to particularly address farms with whole farm scores of 0.3 or 0.6, and to get those to a point to 1, whole farm score of 1, and that's our main aim for this year, and to really, I suppose, bed in and to get people used to the idea of a results-based payment, and then a separate payment strand for supporting actions to allow you to increase your score and increase your payment and so on. So just by way of some examples of the number of actions that have been submitted to ourselves, fencing, I suppose, is the most common one, of which there's 152, for example, actions submitted. So typically fencing, maybe to exclude livestock from the likes of water courses, or to deal with management issues within the farm. Of course, invasive species is very popular as well, where many of our catchments have issues with rhododendron. It reduces the peatland scores. Similarly with flow measures, particularly in peatlands as well, where previous drains will give rise to a reduced score. And again, that's one in which may affect whole farm scores, and that's of course the priority. Here's some examples here. We've got recently blocked drains in peatland as part of the Pearl Mussel Project, and on the right hand side we've got rhododendron works there as well. So I talked about our annual works plan. This is what it's like. It's a 3-page document. I'll show you the first 2 pages. The third is a map. Just to quickly run through this with you. The first column here is the supporting action. In this case, we've got rhododendron removal, your plot number, the number of the SA, which is supporting action ID, the unit, hectare, the number of units, the cost per hectare, and so on, right the way through, which is straightforward here. The supporting action objective is obviously, if it's rhododendron removal, is to remove invasives. This column here is to submit with claim. Photo declaration. So photo declarations will be the most common form of declaration and claim. And when that action is completed, you tick the box and you submit that. Now, there isn't a deadline on the supporting actions. There isn't any penalties or anything like that. What you get done, you get done. You can submit that claim when that suits you, and we will pay that. It's very important to bear in mind that, of course, if you don't do an action, obviously you won't be paid for that, but if you don't do an action, your plot score will likely not increase. So that's just the only thing to bear in mind there from that. So the second page of the annual works plan are just 5 boxes as such. As I said, the first one is just making a claim. It's just a little bit of detail on that. I'll talk about that in a minute. The please note essentially refers to that our claims, the claims can be made quarterly, at the end of March, at the end of June, and so on throughout the year as you have the work done. So if you get all your work done by June, you can claim for those works at that point there. Environmental safeguards and assessment is something that's quite important as well, and just something that these are legal obligations that we all have, and this one relates to the vegetation removal and that is permitted during the bird nesting season. And then in the red down the bottom here as well is something that's very important. It's just additional safeguards. Some of the sites are in SACs, are very wet. It may be required for us to be there as to supervise or advise, or it may be for very wet ground. It may be necessary to have a low ground pressure wide tracked excavator or whatever it might be, just as an example. And of course, in some instances, training will be required as well. So just the claim of supporting actions, we're going to be using, and we will be trialing and training the farmers to use an app to submit their supporting action claims. Very, very straightforward, actually. It's a matter of taking a photo with your phone, typing in the ID number that we looked at a little while ago, your name, and essentially away you go. It's something that's very straightforward. It leaves a dot on the map, and that's pretty much it. It's something that for those that don't have smartphones and so on, we will work something out there as well. But it's something that ultimately reduces administration costs for the farmer. I think it's very positive. So as I say, some actions will require training. Rhododendron treatment requires training. It's likely that with our friend the COVID-19 situation, it's likely that we'll do online training for that. Again, drain blocking is another one example as well. But for many of those, it may be something that we can, certainly with drain blocking, that we would likely be present anyway. So something that's extremely important is management advice. I've chatted to a few farmers that are unsure as to why they're achieving a low score, perhaps a 2 or a 3 or a 4 out of 10, maybe getting a payment, maybe not getting a payment. And something that's so important is the communication, particularly between the advisor and the farmer. And this is extremely important. It's extremely important in order to improve your score and obviously your payment as well. So we do have, for every land, every plot has been scored, and every plot has an associated score. And each one of those has achieved a score for a reason. It may be because it's a low score, perhaps it's drains in it, or there's rhododendron in it, or whatever it might be. But some plots will have very good score. But we have management advice there that's available, and each advisor has this advice for all of their clients. And that's something that we've generated automatically from the scores that we have received. And for any farmers that want this, it's available, and we'd be happy to send that out to you as well. Ask your advisor, and it's something that again, following the scoring season, that this is something that really communication should be good between the advisor and the farmer. And that's where this is very helpful. It's very helpful for to look at the plot scores and whole farm scores as well. So our current plans for the year, we're currently reviewing scorecards for this coming season, and we're also looking at payment bands. We're aware, and the next slide I'll show you is feedback from farmers in terms of the good, the bad, and the ugly as such of the program. And one of the key aspects is that are the payment levels. As it stands, we're looking at, as you know, for 2019, we're looking at your lowest scoring plots fit into the highest scoring bands. The highest scoring band is 0 to 15 hectares, which is relatively small in the context of the size of farms in the top 8 Pearl Mussel catchments. So we're looking at increasing that top payment band to about 0 to 30 hectares or so. And that would have the effect of increasing payments for farmers there as well. So that's something that we're currently working on at the moment as well. And of course, the supporting actions being the main thing at the moment. We're there from the supporting perspective to advisors and to farmers. So any questions, be sure to ask us. Of course, farmer training, fingers crossed that that we're out and about in the fresh air for that together. Just something that's very interesting here as well. Before our shutdown from the virus side of things, we did get to meet farmers from 3 catchments as well. We did small breakout groups, and it was very, very interesting. We asked them to list the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that they see from the Pearl Mussel project. And this is very much non-edited. It's one that just came straight from the hearts and the heads, I suppose, as to what works well and what doesn't work well. And for example, in some of the strengths, some say that it's good for local farmers, there's good money coming into the area and so on. Others feel in the weaknesses that maybe the rates of the payments are too low. It's a good opportunity to get rid of invasive species, and some of the threats include, well, the unknown of cap reform and how that will work out. So I think that's very interesting. Of course, you can pause this page or this section or whatever else as well. It's food for thought, but perhaps it's food for thought for yourselves to go and give us some feedback as well, because of course, this is your project. This is the program that's designed for your area, specifically for your area, and it has to work. We want it to work, but we do need your help as well, and we need your feedback in order to fine tune it and to make it work well for Pearl Mussels and for farmers and for the environment in general. So just second to last slide here as well. Again, here's our contact details. Stephen O'Shea in Cork and Kerry, Mary McAndrew here in Galway, Mayo and Donegal, and our website pmproject.ie. And I think it's important to say as well, we've just got recently published a new newsletter as well. It's a March newsletter, and it's got some nice information in it as well. It's available on our website, and there's obviously Facebook and Twitter and so on updates, and there's a photographic competition as well. That is the title of that is Farming for Nature in Pearl Mussel catchment. So photos and so on, please do submit them. There's a woolly hat, a beanie for the nice photo, for a nice best photo, I suppose, each month that we receive. And I'd just like to conclude by thanking you very much for watching, and I hope it helped. Again, we push on to try and communicate in any way that we can and help out in any way that we can. Again, thank you for watching, and in the circumstances, stay safe and stay healthy. Very best.